Life is hectic, demanding, and doesn't stop. When honest with ourselves, we must confess we often don't know what the hell we're doing. The Larkcast is an ongoing conversation about the inclusive and mischievous nature of God's presence through the lens of all the things that make up this phenomenon we refer to as life. Astonishing grace and refreshing honesty collide right here for your weekly encouragement. And welcome to the Larkcast. Yes, welcome back to the Larkcast. Welcome to all of you who are new to this for the first time, and welcome back all of you who've been tracking along with us on this journey of good news, this journey of taking Jesus at his word. Yeah, taking sides with Jesus on who the Father is and what faith is, and therefore from that point of view, what life and love and grace and relationships and church and discipleship and growth, right? It all flows from there. Yeah. Yeah, that's been the journey. I'm Russ. I'm traveling alone today. If you're on the video, you can see this at our lesser known platform of YouTube. Big shout out to all of you who like to see our faces instead of just listening as you drive down the road. Um, yeah, Tony's got the week off, and I decided to hop on here just to hopefully offer some encouragement on something that I've been seeing, feeling, uh, wrestling with, working through, I guess you could say, um, for quite a while now. Yeah, I'd say like a solid decade of of thinking and rethinking and this idea of faith and faithfulness and why that is just so important to the everyday life that we live, and whether it's a life that's filled with peace and joy despite our circumstances, or the opposite of that, which I could say was a good long portion um, of what I did in the name of Christianity in the past. Something that kind of got my wheels turning about this recently is with my son Eli. He's 7. He's my youngest. Um, if you don't know this about me, became a dad again at 40. Yeah. So two grown kids coming in and out of the house, and got a new grandbaby. Uh, that's a big part of Krista and I's story. And of course, within all of that is starting over again with this little guy named Eli, who's 7 now. And if I'm if I'm being frank, I think Eli probably teaches me more than I teach him at times. I toy with the idea sometimes of doing Fridays with Eli and just passing on the things that I pick up from him and see where that goes. But this past Friday evening, it was time for bed, and he's been watching the Harry Potter series here recently, kind of gotten into that, and I've been watching it with him. And first time, yeah, confession. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people. Never seen him. Older kids weren't interested. So yeah, I'm checking out these movies. I'm having fun with it and picking up on he's getting a little bit scared at bedtime. Um, and Eli, unlike a lot of kids that I've known, is just extremely honest, not just like the blunt honesty that you sometimes get with kids, but he's like honest about like his own life, his own like struggles, things that he's feeling, thinking, and he just says it. It's such a cool thing. Um, the freedom that he's found in this. And so it's bedtime, and he goes, "Dad, I'm scared. I don't want to go to bed. I really need you to stay in here till I fall asleep." And I'm like, "No, bud, it's late. You know, you got Copper, our dog's like literally laying right here in the bed at your feet. I'll lay with you for a minute, but man, you're gonna have to go to sleep on your own, man. Like it's bedtime. You're a big guy, dude. You're a big 7-year-old now." And he goes, "Yeah, I don't think I can." I said, "You could do it." I said, "Buddy, 7-year-olds all over the planet are going to bed all on their own, man. There's no reason why you can't." And as soon as I said that, I was like, "Oh man, yeah, we're all learning as we go here." And as a parent, I'm like, "Why did I just say that?" But it came out, and without a blink of an eye, Eli looks at me and he goes, Dad, I'm not other 7-year-olds. I said, I know, I know, I know. But if other 7-year-olds can do this, like there's no reason why you can't do what they're doing. There's no reason why you can't go to bed on your own right now, man. Like other kids. And again, without a blink of an eye, he looks at me and he goes, Dad, how can I be someone I'm not? How can I be something that I'm not? I'm not them. And what I loved about this moment of being reminded by my child of something that's so true, um, is that Eli didn't ask, he didn't say this to me from this like point of like defending himself. He wasn't saying it the way that I often sometimes use that phrase and where I'm trying to convince myself of what I'm actually saying out loud. And I know other people do as well because I've heard it. This actually came from a point of like there was a complete disconnect in his mind of what I was saying. It's like he looked at me with this like question on his face of like that there's no logic in what you just said. That makes no sense. How can I possibly be something that I'm not? Full stop. Like done. And I just sat there and I just smiled. I'm like, there it is. There it is. The freedom to be able to just know and to say and to even question people when they ask of you to be something, to feel something, to think something, to do something, um, that's just not you or not in you at this moment. And I went, Bud, you're right. You're right. You're not. You're not other people. You're you. And you right now are struggling with this. And that's okay. And so I said I would lay there for a little while longer. And of course I crashed and then woke up at 7 the next morning with Eli and a 80-pound dog laying on me. But that whole like understanding, right? Like it's so tied, that whole understanding of like becoming, right? The need to become, the striving to become, it all gets tangled up for me in this imaginary picture I have of what he should be, or it's of course in my life it's what I should be, or when I led churches is what our church should be. Um, I've been involved in city work when we lived and I pastored in Chicago, what our city right should be, and man, the shoulds are endless and get should on everywhere you go, and I've felt it and I've dealt it, and I have found some freedom over the years, I could say, in just pulling back the curtain on this idea of faithfulness. Because the truth is, the word faithfulness, as it's often talked about, it carries a lot of weight. Yeah. For some, it's become a sense of identity, like how they define themselves. For others, it's tied to a sense of fear, seen as the way that God measures our love for Him. And for many, it's messy as they secretly feel unable to hit right all the markers, carrying the shame even to prove this. I've spent time, I've done time, I guess you could say, in all of those work camps. Uh, I have done time in all of those prison work camps. And so, and I'm not alone in this. And it's so I guess it's really just no wonder, why why I'm passionate about what we're doing here as a ministry. Like, man, I really want to, I want to give faith its freedom back, um, because it's what's true. It's what's good. It's when faith gets its freedom back, it really does bring the relief that we're longing for, the relief that religion could never deliver. It leaves you feeling lighter, you could say. And to give faith, right, its freedom back, you're gonna have to give the word faith its meaning back. That's been my aha since my, my my encounter with Eli last Friday night. I thought about that over the weekend. You're gonna have to give faith its meaning back. Yeah. To be faithful Okay. Just to be clear here, to be faithful, according to the scriptures, would be to be full of faith, meaning you're trusting in who Jesus already is for you and who Jesus already is for everyone else, which means you're not trusting in what you're doing or what you're achieving or who it is that you think you're becoming. You're not even consumed with who you think you should become, because as Eli said, which is just so true, um, why? How can we be anything other than who we are? According to the scripture, something that God never told us to be, right, is something other than who we are. So if our faith is about what we're seeing and doing, um, yeah, we're practicing religion, not faith. 2 Corinthians chapter 4:18 has become a pretty special, I guess you could say, verse, one of those that you really like put in the Rolodex, showing my age there. Put in your phone. I don't know. Yeah. It says that when we fix our eyes not on what is seen, as in like our efforts or our circumstances, but on what is unseen. Yeah. Jesus. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. This is the very essence of belief. Okay, this is by definition what 2 Corinthians 5:7 goes on to say, that we walk by faith, not by sight. This kind of news, right? Like it ushers in the peace and the rest that Jesus promised. It reminds us in the moments where we think we need to be someone else, or we're telling someone they need to be someone else, that faith is not negated by human emotions like anxiety or ambition. Let me say that again. Faith isn't negated by human emotions like anxiety or ambition. Okay. In other words, those things are not disqualifiers. God loves us because, as 1 John 4 says, he is love. Yeah. So knowing that, we are free to see that neither anxiety nor ambition has any place in the conversation of faith and who Jesus is, because both focus on what we're not seeing, okay, and what we're striving to do, rather than on trusting Jesus to be our very union with God, despite what we think or what we feel or what we see. Yeah. That's man, that's the peace that surpasses understanding, that feels so elusive but yet has been promised to us in Christ. It's it's a peace that allows you to just hit a stop button, like I had to do laying in the bed on a Friday evening with a 7-year-old who was wrestling, and go, man, faith is not, you know, faith is not toil. Faith is trust. Faith is not striving to be something else or someone else. Faith is trusting in who Jesus already is for us, despite our performance. Yeah. Now, when I say that, because I had a conversation about this with a couple people, uh, I heard, but also, myself included, like immediately when I hear something like that, I'll respond, as I did for years, with like, yeah, but we got to be careful because, as the scriptures say, even the demons believe. Even the demons believe. But we say that as if like this discredits simple faith. So yeah, it's true. Even the demons believe in who Jesus is. James 2:19. We podcasted on that recently, the James series. And so, like, in the name of what we think is faithful, we set out to behave better than the demons do. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. But here's the true thing, right? Demons don't trust Jesus to believe that he is their union with God. They're not believing that Jesus is their union with God. And that's the point of what that whole passage is saying. So using that as a reference point, like it just falls flat when you let faith mean what it is. Yeah. Now I know that because I've been there for years and I can get there quickly. That can sometimes sound like like that's some kind of cheap grace, right? That's just cheap grace. I used to say that so much. It's kind of nauseating. But and in doing so, I would quote, Jesus's words in Matthew chapter 7, verse 21. It became one of those verses I memorized early on because I had this great fear of that we're not doing enough, and faithfulness, right, is all about our doing. But in that passage, Jesus says, "Not everyone who calls on me shall enter the kingdom of God, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven." And on the surface, it sounds like one more call to prove our faith through our efforts to become someone who's not struggling with what we're struggling with, who's not fearing what we're fearing, who's not doubting what we're doubting, right? Like like a 7-year old who's scared at night. Got to be something more. Um, we'll hear that verse from Jesus, and that's kind of where our minds can go. We got to straighten up and fly right. Uh, but you got to consider this, okay? The one who spoke those words, Jesus, yeah, he declared, and I know we've said this a lot, but I'm just going to keep saying it because we need to remember it. Jesus declared that the will of the Father, okay, the will of the Father is to believe in the Son in whom he sent, in John chapter 6. So, yeah, Jesus is looking at a crowd that still thinks faithfulness is about what they're doing and what they're achieving and who they're becoming. They don't understand that faithfulness is to be full of faith in who Jesus already is for them. So completely missing who this Messiah is that is standing right in front of them and still clinging to this imaginary idea that the law of God is something that was given to help you overcome your humanity and that it's possible through the right efforts or the right guru or the right disciplines or the right services. Jesus looks to them and tells them those words. Hey, just so we're clear, all of you who are very, very, very excited about your religion, not everyone who calls on me is going to enter the kingdom of heaven. It's it's the person who does the will of my Father in heaven. And then goes on to literally tell us by definition that the will of the Father is that you believe in the one in whom he sent. Yeah, faith. Simple faith. Isn't about you or me becoming someone for him. It's about trusting in who he already is for us and everyone else. Anything contrary to this renders Jesus's reconciliation of all things, as Colossians 1 tells us, it renders that act, that reconciling act of all things, a lie. Yeah, a lie. And that's not good news for you or me or anyone acquainted with the frailty of their humanity, like a 7-year old or a 70-year-old. Yeah, anybody who's well acquainted with their humanity would not find that to be good news. So let's just let let's give let's give freedom. Ah, man, kind of get excited when I think about it. I don't want to get too animated. Let's uh let's give faith its freedom back. And I think that starts with giving faith its meaning back. And that's what faith is. Yeah. It's scandalous. And when you let it mean what it is, you really do start to realize why the religious leaders didn't just push back on Jesus or argue with Jesus or fight Jesus. They actually plotted and carried out his murder. Yeah, because it takes all of our imaginary control that we think we have or we're built for, and it just pulls it right out from under our feet. It lays us bare. And we think that that's the end of us, but the truth is, according to Jesus, that's actually the beginning of you. That's the beginning of me. That's where we see the Father for who he is. One who didn't show up for the first time in Jesus, but one who became flesh to show us that he never left us to begin with. He's always been with us. He's always loved us. First Timothy tells us his grace was given to all before the beginning of time. Yeah. Jesus showed up to show us what he's like and to make this grace known. And that's really, 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 really good news. Yeah, for all of us. And it's why we've got this new series that just dropped um, this week. In fact, I shot out a note to everybody. If you haven't subscribed to the Lark, to the Lark newsletter, feel free to do so at larksite.com. It's no spam, I promise. Unless of course somebody offers to like buy us an island in the Bahamas or something, then we might consider it. But no, I'm just kidding. But I don't know, maybe kidding. But seriously, no spam. We try to just drop, insights, encouragement that you would find, relevant updates. So yeah, if you're following along, check your email because I just sent that out. It's new. It's a three-part series, Reimagine Faith. It was done through Tony's company, Catico. I think it's a great short, raw, three-part video series that's available to anyone out there who's new to this conversation, anyone who's longing to find that freedom that faith was meant to bring. Yeah, that's kind of what this is. It's not a how-to manual. It's or a program or anything like that. It's really just an invitation to look back at three truths that will really help you move forward in the freedom that faith was meant to bring. And it's available now for free, larksite.com, right there on the homepage. Click the button, get access, dive in. Or if you've been in this conversation, but you've got people around you that you love and you care about, and you want them to see the God that we've been conditioned to miss. You want to help them reimagine what spiritual growth is according to Jesus, not according to what's often being thrown at us. Because believe me, they are two very different things. And then lastly, like if they're just wondering, like, man, how do we actually learn to live free? Well, that's a journey into reimagining what the church is according to Jesus, which is another one of those things that looks very, very different than what you often find. That's what this series is. It's an invitation into those truths. So check it out. Um, Pass it on. Seriously, just shoot your friends the link, larksite.com. They can all get access for free right where they're at and dive in. And as always, we are available to chat. So if you have questions, you have doubts, you're wondering about something, you want to celebrate something, you want to work through something that you're still wrestling with, or hey, you've got an idea about how to help some neighbors live in freedom, and you're just, sort of kicking those tires. Here's the point. We're available for the conversation because we believe conversation is where it's at. And we definitely see that in Jesus. And doesn't seem like we're going to one up him on that one. So instead, we just decided to throw our hat in that same ring. Conversation. We're available. So reach out. Again, larksite.com. You'll see it right there in the menu. Let's talk. Book a call. If you're not somebody who likes to talk, or you don't want to get on the phone, or you don't want to get on a Zoom call, you just like to type it out, do that. Shoot us an email. Howdy@larksite.com. And we'll chat with you there. The point is, if freedom's the goal, you've got a great series here for free to help you get started or to help you help others get started. And you've got some people who are committed to walk with you in it. So the ball's in your court. Our hope is just to be a help. Um, I have found over the years that probably the thing that I hear the most is you guys have put language to what I've always felt. And I love that. That stirring of the spirit was already there. Lark just comes along and helps you find the exit door to that endless cycle of imaginary faithfulness for the faith in who Jesus is. Yeah. So check that out. Reach out anytime. We're here for you. And stay tuned. Next week, another podcast. Tony will be joining me, and we got some stories coming up, me and Sarah. So it's all on the docket. As always, grace and peace to you, and just a big shout out to all of you who support these endeavors. Seriously, through your generous support, we are able to create resources like this and be able to travel and spend time with people in their places, to really see an anxious world walk in freedom. So again, thanks. Until next time, cheers.